December 3, 1941. Office of Naval Intelligence, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Commander Joseph Rochefort stares at the intercept traffic piling up on his desk. Japanese diplomatic communications have increased 400% in the past 2 weeks. Radio direction finding stations across the Pacific are tracking unprecedented fleet movements. Something is coming, but the Japanese naval codes remain unbroken. The purple diplomatic cipher machine provides glimpses of Tokyo's political intentions, but military operations, actual fleet movements, target selections, attack timing, those remain locked behind the JN-25 code system that naval intelligence has been unable to crack for 18 months. The meeting room at Station Hypo, the Navy's cryptanalysis unit, fills with exhausted code breakers. They've been working 16-hour shifts for 3 weeks straight. Mathematics professors, linguists, chess champions, the best analytical minds the Navy could recruit, and they are failing. We're intercepting hundreds of messages daily, Lieutenant Commander Thomas Dyer reports, but without the code book values, we can't read them. We know they're fleet operational orders. We just don't know what they say. How long to break it? Rochefort asks. Dyer hesitates. Months, sir. Maybe a year. The JN-25 code uses a 2-part system. Even if we solve the cipher groups, we still need to recover the additive tables. It's mathematically complex. Rochefort looks at the calendar. It's December 3, 1941. He doesn't know it yet, but he has 4 days until the Japanese attack that will kill 403 Americans and destroy the Pacific Fleet. What about pattern analysis? Someone suggests. Traffic analysis, radio fingerprinting, we're doing all of that, sir. But patterns don't tell us targets or timing. We need to read the actual messages. The room falls silent. The most sophisticated cryptanalytic operation in the Pacific Theater, equipped with IBM sorting machines and staffed by brilliant mathematicians, cannot break the code that would reveal Japan's war plans. Rochefort closes the folder. Gentlemen, if we don't solve this problem, the next war will be fought blind. Find me someone who thinks differently. The meeting adjourns with no answers. That same morning, 400 miles away in San Francisco, a 38-year-old postal clerk named Joseph Finnegan sits in the back room of the main post office, doing something that violates multiple federal regulations. He's reading other people's mail. Before we continue, if you're fascinated by the intelligence operations that changed World War II, hit that subscribe button. 76% of you watching aren't subscribed yet, and you're missing stories like this every week. Joseph Patrick Finnegan grew up in South Boston. No college degree, no military training, just a high school graduate who took the Postal Service exam in 1925 because his father said government jobs offered security. For 16 years, Finnegan worked at the San Francisco Main Post Office, sorting mail on the overnight shift. Letters, packages, postcards, millions of pieces annually moving through his hands in mechanical rhythm. But Finnegan possessed one trait the hiring examination never measured. He noticed patterns. In 1938, he began observing something unusual in the international mail. Postcards from Japanese tourists traveling through California showed a peculiar characteristic. They were too detailed, too specific. A postcard from San Diego, December 1938. Greetings from beautiful California. Visited the harbor today. So many large ships. Counted 14 vessels, including 3 very large ones with numbers on the side. Weather beautiful. Finnegan held the postcard under the sorting lamp. Why would a tourist count ships? Why mention hull numbers? Why note weather conditions? He started setting aside similar postcards. By March 1939, he had collected 23 cards, all mailed from West Coast cities with naval facilities. San Diego, Long Beach, Bremerton, San Francisco, all written in English, all signed with common American names, all containing suspiciously detailed observations about military installations. Finnegan brought his collection to his supervisor. George Mitchell, these cards, I think they are intelligence gathering. Mitchell barely glanced at them. Finnegan, you're a mail sorter, not a detective. Process the mail, don't read it. But sir, the patterns, the Postal Service handles 30 billion pieces annually. You think you've discovered a spy ring because some tourists like ships? Get back to work. Finnegan returned to his sorting station, but he didn't stop collecting the cards. By June 1940, he had 47 suspicious postcards. He noticed something else. The cards appeared in clusters, 3 cards from San Diego within 1 week, all mentioning ship movements. 2 weeks later, 4 cards from Long Beach, all describing harbor defenses, then silence for a month, then another cluster from a different city. It looked like a systematic survey, different locations, different apparent senders, but consistent intelligence objectives. Finnegan went higher up the chain. He requested a meeting with the San Francisco Postal Inspector, Raymond Walsh. Walsh's office smelled like cigar smoke and bureaucratic indifference. "Inspector, I believe Japanese intelligence is using the postal system for reconnaissance." Finnegan spread his collection across the desk, 47 postcards spanning 18 months. He'd organized them by location, date, and content type. Walsh examined 3 cards and pushed the pile back. "Mr. Finnegan, do you understand the federal laws protecting mail privacy? You've been reading sealed correspondence. These are postcards, sir. They're not sealed. You've been collecting them, withholding them from delivery. That's mail tampering, a federal offense. But the intelligence value, there is no intelligence value." Walsh's voice hardened. "These are tourists writing about their vacations. You're seeing patterns because you want to see patterns. The human brain does that." Walsh stood. "I'm going to pretend this meeting never happened. But if I hear you're still collecting mail, interfering with delivery, or bothering postal customers, you'll be terminated." "Understood." Finnegan walked out with his box of postcards. That night, he made a decision that would either save thousands of American lives or end his career. He started his own intelligence network. July 1940. Finnegan can't go to the postal inspectors, can't go to his supervisors. They've made it clear that pursuing this will cost him his job, but he can't ignore what he's seeing, so he builds his own system. Every night shift, he sets aside postcards matching his criteria, detailed observations of military facilities, unusual specificity about ship types, numbers, locations, cards mailed from cities with naval bases. He can't keep them permanently without triggering an investigation, so he photographs them. He buys a Kodak Brownie camera with his own money. During his lunch break, he takes the cards to the employee bathroom, photographs them against the white tile wall, and returns them to the mail stream. The photos aren't great. The bathroom lighting is poor, but they are legible. By September 1940, he has photographs of 73 suspicious postcards. He develops the film at a drugstore photo counter, paying cash. The clerk never asks why a postal worker is photographing postcards. Finnegan creates a filing system in his apartment. He organizes the photos by location, date, and content. He buys a map of the West Coast and marks every location mentioned in the cards with colored pins: red for ship observations, blue for harbor infrastructure, green for aircraft sightings. The map reveals something his supervisors refuse to see. The cards form a systematic intelligence collection pattern. Someone is surveying every major naval facility on the West Coast, using tourists as collectors or agents posing as tourists. In October 1940, Finnegan tries one more official channel. He writes a letter to Navy intelligence in San Diego. He includes samples of his photographs and his analysis. Letter is returned 2 weeks later with a form response. "Thank you for your correspondence. Navy intelligence reviews all credible threat information through proper channels. Please contact your local FBI field office if you have evidence of espionage activity." Finnegan doesn't contact the FBI. He's already violated federal law by reading and photographing mail. Contacting law enforcement means confessing to mail tampering, so he continues working alone. By December 1940, his collection includes 94 photographed postcards. The pattern is undeniable now. Clusters of cards appear 2 to 3 weeks before major fleet exercises. When the Pacific Fleet moves to San Diego for gunnery practice, postcards from San Diego appear. When carriers deploy to Hawaii, postcards from Hawaii mention aircraft carriers. Someone is tracking fleet movements in real time and reporting via postcards. Then Pearl Harbor happens. December 7, 1941. Finnegan hears the radio bulletin while walking to his shift. Japanese aircraft have attacked the U.S. Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor. Heavy casualties, multiple ships sunk. He goes home. He spreads his postcard photographs across his kitchen table. November 1941, he has 14 cards from Hawaii. Most mentioned ship concentrations at Pearl Harbor. One card, mailed November 28th, specifically describes Sunday morning as ideal for photography because harbor activity is minimal. The attack happened on Sunday morning, December 7th, 9 days after that postcard was mailed. Finnegan sits at his table for 3 hours, staring at the evidence. His supervisors called him paranoid. Postal inspectors threatened him with termination. Navy intelligence returned his letter with a form response. And now 400 Americans are dead because nobody would listen to a mailman. The next morning, December 8th, 1941, Finnegan doesn't go to work. He takes his entire collection, 94 photographed postcards and his annotated map, and walks into the San Francisco FBI field office. The receptionist barely looks up. "Can I help you? I need to speak to someone about Japanese espionage." "Sir, we're receiving dozens of calls this morning. If you have information about suspicious activity, you can file a report. I have evidence that Japanese intelligence surveilled Pearl Harbor for 2 years using the postal system, and I can prove it." The receptionist's expression changes. "Wait here." 20 minutes later, Finnegan sits across from Special Agent Robert Shivers, head of the FBI's San Francisco Counterintelligence Division. Shivers looks exhausted. He's been working since yesterday's attack began, handling hundreds of panic calls from civilians reporting their Japanese neighbors as potential saboteurs. "Mr. Finnegan, I have about 5 minutes. What do you have?" Finnegan opens his box. He spreads the photographs across Shivers' desk. He pulls out his map. He explains the pattern, the clusters, the timing, the systematic coverage of every major naval facility. Shivers examines 3 photos, then 10, then all of them. His expression changes from skepticism to intense focus. "How long have you been collecting these?" 2 years, and you reported this to whom?" "Postal supervisors, postal inspectors. I wrote to Navy intelligence in San Diego." Shivers looks up. "What did they say?" Finnegan's voice is flat. "They said I was seeing patterns that didn't exist. They threatened to fire me for mail tampering." Silence. Shivers picks up his phone. "Get me Commander Rochefort at Pearl Harbor." Priority routing. The call takes 40 minutes to connect. When Rochefort's voice finally crackles through, Shivers describes Finnegan's collection. Rochefort's response is immediate. "Send everything to Station Hypo. Today. I need the originals, the photos, the map, all of it, and send the postal worker too." Finnegan flies to Hawaii on December 10th, 1941, aboard a Navy transport aircraft. It's his first time flying. His first time leaving California. He carries his box of photographs like they are made of glass. Station Hypo occupies the basement of the 14th Naval District Administration Building. The concrete walls are lined with filing cabinets, IBM sorting machines, and exhausted cryptanalysts who've been working non-stop since the attack. Commander Rochefort meets Finnegan at 0800 hours. He doesn't waste time with pleasantries. "Mr. Finnegan, I'm told you've been tracking Japanese intelligence communications for 2 years. Postcards, sir. I think they were using postcards for reconnaissance reports. Show me." Finnegan spreads his collection across a conference table, 94 photographs organized by date and location. His annotated map, his notes on pattern clusters. Rochefort studies them for 30 minutes without speaking. Then he calls in his senior cryptanalyst, Lieutenant Commander Thomas Dyer. "Tom, look at these dates." Dyer examines the postcard photographs. His eyes widen. "These cluster patterns match our intercept traffic spikes. Look, November 15th through November 22nd, we logged increased radio activity from Japanese consulate communications. And here you have 7 postcards from that same week, all from Hawaii." Rochefort turns to Finnegan. "Mr. Finnegan, we've been trying to break Japanese naval codes for 18 months. We have mathematics PhDs, linguists, the best cryptanalysts in the Pacific, and they're failing because they're approaching it as a mathematics problem. But you're not a mathematician, are you?" "No, sir. I sort mail. You sort patterns." Rochefort's voice carries a note of admiration mixed with frustration. "You saw the pattern we missed because you weren't looking at code groups. You were looking at behavior." He picks up one of the photographs. This postcard, mailed from San Diego on October 3rd, 1940. It mentions 3 capital ships with specific hull numbers. 3 days later, we logged a coded transmission from the Japanese consulate to Tokyo. We couldn't read it, but I'm willing to bet it said the same thing this postcard says. Finnegan nods slowly. The postcards are the plain text, sir. If you match postcard content to coded transmissions from the same dates, you can solve for the code values. Exactly. Rochefort turns to Dyer. Drop everything else. I want every intercept from the past 2 years cross-referenced with Finnegan's postcard dates. If his cards cluster around fleet movements and our intercepts spike on the same dates, the postcards are telling us what the coded messages say. Sir, that's hundreds of messages to analyze. Then start now. We're at war, and this mailman just gave us the Rosetta Stone. Over the next 3 weeks, Finnegan works 18-hour days at Station Hypo. He's not a cryptanalyst. He can't read code, but he can do something the professional code breakers can't. He can read mail.